While Kenny Porter admits that his fighter, his son, fighting Terence Crawford was not the same fighter from his past fights against the top level PBC guys. I'm gonna explain in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. I was sent a video. It was an interview with Kenny Porter and the host. His name was Broadway Yoel or Joel, and they had a conversation about why did Kenny Porter stop the fight. I'm going to be paraphrasing and give you my takeaways. You guys definitely check out the video in its entirety. So Kenny Porter, to paraphrase what he was saying, he says his son was not the same fighter that night. His son was not the same guy that took on Danny Garcia, that took on Keith Thurman, that took on Errol Spence. He says, how do you get hit with a lighter shot against Crawford, and then when you fought Errol Spence, you got hit with a thudding shot, got back up, and you were like, yeah, let's go, and you was ready to go. So Kenny Porter, he didn't have certain specifics. Some of it was a bit ambiguous. Some of it was a bit cryptic, but he didn't say what exactly was going on. But this has been the case for a minute, where there's some type of something that he knows about that was going on behind the scenes. He said, just like I'm on tape with you, we're doing this live interview, and you see what the camera is showing you. So this is your vantage point from here to here, from left to right, what the camera's capturing. But you don't know what is going on in the other rooms in my house. You don't know because you can't see it. You're only seeing basically what I'm giving you. And he says he can understand and maybe even appreciate that fans felt that the fight should have went on, but he was privy to certain information and he knew of certain things that existed, I guess, in training camp that led him to believe that that was the right move to make. And now he can, eat dinner and breakfast at his son's house across the street. That's basically what he said. Now, the host even said something to the effect of, Kenny, you owe me $70 because I really want to see the fight. And he's basically saying that his son was not the same fighter. So he made a judgment call, an executive decision. And this is not a far cry from some of the other things we've heard from Kenny Porter. So you got to respect Kenny's story has not changed at all, because he's done other interviews and he says that, why he made it. Like, this is not the first time he's been questioned or asked about the stoppage in the Terence Crawford fight. And he says under normal circumstances, basically, if his son was the same fighter that fought those PBC guys, the Thurmans, the Dannys, the Errols, then he feels we're smashing this guy on that given night and we're going home as champions. But that's not the case. In past interviews, Kenny Porter also suggested that there were certain shortcomings in training camp where his son wasn't pushing or doing stuff. Certain things, right? Again, he's a little bit cryptic. He didn't elaborate exactly what went on. I don't know if there's some friction, some arguing, some hesitance, whatever that thing was. Now, I got to be the greatest in the world when it comes to boxing in the digital space. I keep telling you, Ego Stradamus strikes again. Now, I say these things. I don't have to wait for an interview. I say these things and give my opinion and break it down on my channel. And then fast forward to the future, things like this come out and support, corroborate everything I've been telling you. I told you, this is not a shade to Terence Crawford. There's a lot of emotional babies and beta males in the sport of boxing. They say, they think if you have an opinion on anything, you're doing it out of hate. If that's how you move, that's how you move. But I'm a grown man. I'm in control of my emotions. I'm in control of my feelings. I got that under lock and key. So when I give breakdowns, I can't speak for nobody else. I give you my thoughts. And my thoughts, I told you from the beginning that Terence Crawford, he fought the port. I coined this particular phrase that I'm about to say. I said, in my opinion, and I said this immediately after the fight, Terence Crawford faced podcast Porter. What do I mean? Terence Crawford faced a version of, because there was some like belaboring of the negotiations, because you guys got to put yourself in the mindset. There's some things that took a long time. It was like mandated, and it took a long time for the fight to actually happen. So by the time Terence Crawford faced him, Shawn Porter had been out of the ring over 400 days. They even said it and showed it on the ESPN telecast. If you have ESPN Plus and you want to go back and watch it, facts. So he was out of the ring. His last opponent before that was Sebastian Formella. Now, I'm not trying to like go into too much detail, but I will say this. I felt that Errol Spence in the version of Porter he got was significantly different. Like, I think Shawn Porter had kids in between that fight, right? Settled down a little bit and had, seeds, and he was podcasting. That's why I said podcast Porter. So his focus, we don't know if it was really 100% boxing, as was the case in previous fights. So Kenny Porter saying that is merely corroborating that. Errol Spence was live at the fight. He went to Vegas or whatever, and it was in the crowd, and they were showing the replay on the Jumbotron, and Errol Spence was just looking up like, what is this? And then he just bounced. And like, he was just like, that was garbage. He didn't like the outcome or whatever. I mean, he didn't say that, but that's what his facial expression looked like. What was that? Come on, bro. And he didn't look good with the stoppage. And then now you have Kenny Porter saying that Errol Spence hit him harder. So all the stories really connect. Errol Spence, he got up and walked out. Errol Spence has since said that when he was arguing with Terence Crawford at the end of last year on Twitter, he basically said that you got a different version of Porter, which is what I've said. And now people seem to understand this concept. And I've been saying it since day one. You fought Podcast Porter, an inactive version who was off a Sebastian Formella fight. Formella is not a big name in the sport. And he was doing Ring City, Triller, PBC telecasts and inside the PBC shows, and had a family and was a little bit more domesticated, had kids, things like that. I can't omit all of these things that I truly know about that are there for you guys to see as well, and pretend that the version of Porter that showed up versus Crawford was the same. And Porter himself, I think it was immediately after at the post-fight press conference, he said just as much. He said, my dad was asking certain things of me and I couldn't deliver those things. And then later on his own podcast and different various interviews, he said he had arthritis in his hips and knew he was going to retire, things like that. So, yeah, a lot of the fans, and the reason I had to do the follow-up video, because either way, Crawford moved on. He's knocked out other guys since, all knockouts, David Evanesian. People, like a lot of the Bud buddies, they bring up the fact that Porter was knocked out, but you got to frame it correctly. He did knock him out. He was the only one to knock him out, but it was his final fight of his career. Porter says he's not coming back out of retirement. He's happily retired, and he's on to different endeavors. So it does sound like you got the tail end of Porter. The guys that the PBC fighters fought, Danny, Keith, even when Kell Brook fought him and Errol and stuff, they got a different version, a hungry version of Shawn Porter, whose body was able to keep up with the rigorous training and thing like that. And the claim to fame that the Bud Buddies have is the fact that Crawford knocked him out, but you also knocked him out at the tail end of his career, literally the end of his career. And then now Kenny Porter's saying this thing. So I know some people are going to hate and say, oh, Kenny Porter's just mad and salty and he's just making excuses. But I've seen Shawn Porter spar with legends like Shane Mosley live, right? I've seen Shawn Porter, been on the track with them at UNLV and watched him train. And he was doing some brutal training. So if there was any mishaps or hiccups, Crawford is a great fighter. And that's not a person you can, show up halfway, 1 foot out, 1 foot in. I really don't advise that for anybody. If you know you're going to retire, if that's even a thought in your head, then, boxing can't be your thing because it's just too dangerous and brutal. The other thing is, with all that being said, I still think Shawn Porter gave Terence Crawford a tough fight. And despite it, whatever happened that Kenny Porter's saying, he still gave him a very tough fight. And they even said that, hey, Terence Crawford, you're down on the scorecards. You need to step it up. And then he did step it up and he got to stop it. So take that what you want. I have to make the video because, like I said, people keep talking about how Crawford stopped him and Errol didn't. But clearly, per his own dad, basically, they fought different versions of him. That's literally, you could watch the interview and hear him basically say that. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Best in the world. And I'm out. Introducing Super Thanks. right here on the official Boxingego YouTube. Super Thanks allows you, the viewers, to show a little bit of extra gratitude, which enables me as a full-time content creator to push out the content you need in the world of boxing. Underneath all the videos, you will see a heart with the $sign in it. You can enter any amount that you find suitable as a super thanks. A brand new interactive and colorful way to get your comments highlighted and noticed by not only myself, but other people on the YouTube platform. Super thanks, a unique and cool way to show and applaud us full-time content creators. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. Super thanks. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working.